If you're an online coach looking to launch and scale your program, this video is going to give you the exact step-by-step webinar funnel and tools that I use to generate over $250,000 for my clients within the last year. Same webinar funnel that I use for my clients that helped Barbie make over $150,000, helped Kim make over $30,000 within 2 weeks, helped Leisha make over $50,000 in 2 months, helped Sam, who had less than 500 followers at the time, make over $10,000 within his first month running this webinar funnel, and Amber, who ran this webinar within the last month, was able to make $8,000 on her first launch. So I'm going to give you guys the exact step-by-step framework and tools that I use within my clients to help them implement this whole process. If you're new to the channel and you don't know me, my name is Brian. I'm a monetization coach, and within the last year, I've been helping coaches launch and scale their programs, whether it's done with you, one-on-one coaching, group coaching. This stuff works, and I'm going to give you the exact systems and tools and steps that I use to help them launch and scale their programs. So let's get into the video. So the first thing that we do when it comes to building out your offer and building out your webinar is market research and offer clarity. And how we do this is by creating a quick survey, and usually we get people to take action on the survey by giving them a free resource, something like a free ebook, a free guide, a free strategy plan, whatever the case may be, whatever your audience is going to jump at. We ask them these questions and we get a bunch of feedback from our audience, and they're able to tell us, they're able to create the offer for us rather than us having to spend a bunch of time trying to present on the webinar and trying to come up with the offer out of like thin air. We don't have to do that. We can literally ask your audience what they want out of us, and we call that audience hacking. And I do this with every single one of my clients before we even think about setting up a webinar date, setting up an offer, setting up a webinar date, or just setting up a webinar presentation. The first thing we do is market research, and we hack their audience so their audience literally tells us what they want, how much they're willing to pay. And just by going through these questions and taking the time to ask your audience these questions, you save a lot of time and headache trying to come up with something. And then, like, imagine you go on to the webinar and you pitch, you go onto a webinar, you speak for an hour or hour 20 minutes, and then you pitch, and then it's crickets, and then you realize nobody wants this offer, and it's not validated, it's not tested. So to avoid all of that, start off with market research and offer clarity to help you figure out exactly what you're going to be saying, what you're going to be pitching to these people once you get them into this room. So after you do market research and offer clarity, then you're going to need some tools to actually set up the webinar. So what I use, you're going to need a webinar CRM, and the CRM is basically able to help you send out emails, help you to set up the workflow automations, help you track signups and conversions, because you don't want people just signing up and you're not tracking the numbers of who converts, who signs up. And without you tracking the numbers, you're not going to be able to get better over time with the webinars, because each webinar is going to require some tweaks, and it's going to require some tweaks until you have like that perfect webinar that's converting, and then you can automate the whole system. But up until then, we're going to be tracking everything, tracking the conversions, tracking the signups, tracking the amount of people that do show up, etc. And then having a webinar CRM is going to allow you to send out reminders and build out. So having a webinar CRM is going to help you send out reminders and then help you be able to build the funnels and be able to host everything all in one place so you can track things properly. And then here is the webinar funnel. Here's the webinar CRM that I use. I use Go High Level, and it basically allows me to track all the signups, track the opportunity value, like how much each lead is worth, and then be able to track the conversions here as well. And this is because we ran this webinar we ran a webinar October 23rd, so it's at 0 right now. But when we do run another webinar, we're going to be able to track the conversions there. And from here, you'll be able to build the funnels. So for example, we have the funnel here, and then you'll be able to set up automations as well. So that way, when people do sign up, they get a 24-hour reminder, a 1-hour reminder. They get that confirmation text when they log in, and then we're able to track everything within the pipelines. Just be able to have all the numbers right in front of us, so that way we're not. So the next thing you're going to need for running these webinars, plain and simple, is Zoom, and that's how you'll be able to host the webinar, send out the link for people to join on the webinar, and then you're able to close on the webinar as well. And then you'll need a checkout page. You can either use Stripe or Fanbases. I don't like personally using Stripe anymore, just because I had an issue with one of my clients. We ran a webinar. We had like a bunch of people lined up to convert. We had a $3,000 offer, and there was about 14 people that tried to check out at the $3,000 mark, and Stripe was just not approving the buy now, pay later options, and we lost out on a lot of money with using Stripe. Now we switched over to fan bases, and fan bases is more set up for high ticket coaches and just coaches in general who sell anything online. And the buy now, pay later options are way more lenient. They have a better system in place to be able to secure those high ticket deposits or just high ticket payments, and then you're able to just make more money overall with fan bases. So right now I'm on fan bases, but if you aren't on fan bases, you can use Stripe easily to get set up and then switch over to fan bases. I would recommend it. Most of my clients are using it, and so on. So once you have all the tools set up in place to be able to run the webinar, now it's about setting up the webinar funnel. And the way the webinar funnel is set up, I have this webinar funnel set up for my clients, and it's basically the same outline that I use for all of my clients. And you can see right here that the conversion rate on this specific landing page is 45%, which is butter. So since it's working, I don't change it up for any of my clients. Since this layout is working, all we do is change out their VSL, change out their branding colors, and we have the same layout for all of them, and it's just converting. And we're at a 45% conversion rate, so we're not going to change it too much. And what it consists of is the headline that has curiosity. So you don't want to just be like, join my webinar and learn how to make money. There's no curiosity there. There's no reason for people to actually join. So what we do is we have the headline that has curiosity, and you can see here, discover the one thing that makes you money with digital products. Now you probably see the headline, you're like, what is that one thing that'll help me make money with digital products? And then the following line, we handle the main objection. So a lot of people, when they're trying to sell digital products, they think they need a bunch of followers to do so, and we already dismantling that before you even hop on the webinar. So we have the curiosity-based title, we have the dismantling main objection, and then we have the VSL. The VSL basically talks about what's going to be happening on the webinar, who the webinar is for, and then just getting them hyped to want to be able to join this live event. And then it also has what they're expected to learn, and I can show you guys just the live. Now I'm showing you guys the live funnel. So we have the curiosity-based headline with the main objection. Then we have the watch the video. Then we have the VSL, where she just talks about what's going to be happening on the webinar. We have the next step to join, reserve your spot, the button. So once you click this, you fill out the form, and then your information is grabbed, and we're able to contact you when it comes time to the webinar. We have the 3 main things that you're going to learn on the webinar, giving people like a little taste of what's about to happen. And then right after that, we have the testimonials. Real plain, real simple. So there's not much. It's either you're joining the webinar or not. The way that this funnels works is that, like, it's so simple. It's either you're joining, you want to learn how to make money with digital products without needing 1,000 followers. You watch the VSL because you already know the creator at this point, and then you lock in your spot. You already know what's going to be on the webinar, and then you're bombarded with a bunch of proofs that'll get you like ready to even be like, you're hyped to be on the webinar at that point. And then once we do grab their information, so we grab their information with a form, then we hit them with a thank you page. And this thank you page, we have a VSL here, we have a timer here. There's no timer here because we don't know when we're doing the next live class, but you're able to lock in your spot. We have the timer here, and then this VSL is basically a thank you page that is like getting you even more hype for what's about to be on the webinar, what they're expected to learn. Glad that they took this opportunity to invest into their future. They have the ability to add it to their calendar. And then we have a quick checklist. And one of the things that I like to do within my thank you pages for all of my clients, people are very monkey see, monkey do, right? So what I have in the VSL, and even on the checklist page, even on the checkout page, right? The first step is to save the date in your calendar, watch it on the laptop, but also this key note right here, repost this to your story and tag me, and I'll give you a special shout out. What that does is that every time someone joins the webinar and they repost this page to their story on their phone, it's like they're telling all of their followers, hey, I just logged in for this class. And when other people see that, when their followers see that, they're like, yo, I need to join that class. What is this? What is this event that's going on? I don't want to miss out. So adding that one factor in allows more people to get signed up, and it just allows the creator to show like, hey, people are signing up. There's demand for this thing. Sign up now. So I feel like that's one little hack that you can do within your own webinars to help you increase more signups and get more people hyped, because once they see other people joining, it's like a no-brainer for me to join. So that is the funnel setup for the webinar page, and it's a 45% conversion rate, so you can literally steal this whole flow and you should be seeing the same numbers as well. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's a headline, dismantling objection, you have the VSL, you have the date, what they're expected to learn, and then you have the testimonials, and then that's really all that you need to be able to start converting people and get people signed up for your webinar. So once you have the webinar funnel set up, you're going to need automations, and that's where your webinar CRM comes into play. We're able to set up automations in Go High Level, and what we do is we update them in opportunities. So we update them with the price of the offer, and then we're able to see how much money is within the pipeline in general. So we know how much we can convert, what we're expected to convert, etc. And then we give them a tag, we set up the webinar date, and then we hit them with a confirmation email and SMS. That way they're already like locked in. They know they're expected to get text. They know what's coming up. So we're slowly making sure like we are on the top of their mind as soon as they sign up for the webinar. Then we do a 24-hour reminder just to be like, hey, sign up for the webinar. Webinar's tomorrow. Make sure you lock in. Make sure you know what's about to happen. Make sure you show up live. And then we do a 1-hour reminder where it's just like, hey, we're going live in 1 hour. Make sure you join. We have the links in all of these for the webinar. Then we hit them with a we're live sequence, we're live automation. And one of the things that I added in here as well is like, this is plain simple, like 24 hours, 1 hour live. That's the basics that you need in your webinar funnel as you're running automations. But one of the biggest things that I added in was that 10-minute after mark, right? Because a lot of people, they get this and they're like, oh, I might have joined too late. Like I can't join for whatever reason. They just don't join. But then we hit them with that 10-minute SMS mark, and it's like, okay, I can still join. It's like the webinar is just starting at that point. So I hit them with a text like, hey, where you at? I just started. Like, you didn't miss anything. Make sure you get in now. And I feel like adding that touch point, it just brought in more people into the webinar. And just like, because a lot of people think they can't join it after it's gone live. It's like, no, you can still join. We're still live. Join it before I really get into the nitty gritty. So I like to add a 10-minute after automation. Right after it goes live, send out another text 10 minutes after, and more people have been able to show up from there. And then within this email confirmation sequence, we send out indoctrination emails. And what indoctrination emails are, they basically are emails that are able to show that what you're teaching on the webinar is working and it's worked for other people. So before they even hop on the webinar, the point of this indoctrination email is to be like, this is how much I was able to help one of my clients make with whatever offer that I'm going to be showing you guys on this webinar, right? And if you watch that video before you even hop on the webinar, you know like this process worked and you know it worked for other people. So this process can work for me too. So we add in those indoctrination emails just to boost the morale. So by the time they hop on the webinar, they're already warmed up, they're already ready to go, they're already ready to buy. So that is the webinar automation sequence that we have in place, and you can literally copy the same thing. It's 24-hour reminder email, 1 hour reminder email, live SMS, and 10-minute after SMS. I don't do 10-minute after email because like I really just want people to get inside, but I just send a 10-minute SMS. But everything else, they get an email and SMS, and they just don't get an email for this. They just get an SMS message straight to their phone. And then in this window, you're sending out indoctrination emails. So before they hop on, they already know what you can do actually works. So the next point is when it comes to running the actual live free webinar, the goal is to give them the how and not the what. You don't want to give away too much information, because if you do give away too much information, they're going to be like, yeah, this was a good webinar. Thank you. I'm going to go do this on my own. We don't want that to happen. And a lot of times people think that you need to teach people on the webinar. No, you don't need to teach too much information on the webinar. Just teach people the how. You want to leave them second guessing, leave them be like, okay, I got all this information, but how do I implement all of this information? And that's where your offer comes in. So the way you structure the webinar, you have the intro. Well, the intro, the secret number 1, which is the vehicle. You have secret number 2, which is tied to an internal belief. That's what secret number 2 is. And then you have secret number 3, which is tied to the external belief that your audience is facing when it comes to your offer. Then you have the offer stack, and then you have the Q&A. So the intro explains who you are, what you accomplished, the story of how you got there, who you helped, and then the vehicle is the main thing that you're going to be teaching to your audience to get results. The main thing that you're talking about, how they're able to get results from that thing. And your job here is to convince them that the vehicle is the best thing since sliced bread, right? So if your offer is about how to sell digital products online, you got to convince people that digital product is the vehicle for them to be able to make multi-figures, multi-millions online, and digital product is the best thing since the internet came out. So in secret number one, you're just breaking down the vehicle. Secret number two, you're tied to the internal belief. So if we go back to the digital products route, it's like a lot of people think they need a big following, or they need experience, or they feel like they're just not ready enough to sell digital products. And your job there is to break that internal belief to be like, hey, you don't need experience. You don't need a big following. You don't need XYZ to start selling digital products. You could start selling digital products where you're at today. So your job in secret number two is to break down that internal belief. And then secret number three, you break down the external belief. So a lot of people think they need money to sell digital products. They need time, they need to run ads. And it's like, no, you don't need any of that. Let me show you how to do that without a big audience or energy or money needed or time needed to actually get this up and running. So by the time they go from the intro to the secret number one to secret number two to secret number three, they should have no more objections, because you just broke down all the dominoes, you broke down all of the dominoes, all of the things that they would even like object. You broke it down before they could even get to the offer. So at this point, they're just ready to be pitched to whatever you have to offer. And here's an example of one of my clients. So we ran her webinar. Her offer was helping people build a profitable brand on social media. So secret number one, let me show you that creating a brand is the vehicle, is the best thing on earth since sliced bread. I'm going to show you how to create a personal brand that is able to pay you and attract buyers. And then secret number two, that is attacking the internal belief. So a lot of people think they need experience or fancy skills to create content that attracts ideal people. Let me show you how to create content that attracts ideal people without having a bunch of experience or having fancy tech skills. That breaks down your internal belief. So now I show you the vehicle. I broke down the internal belief that is stopping you from getting started. And then we have secret number three. Now, a lot of people think they need a huge following to make money. Let me show you how to do it without having or needing a huge following. So by the end of these three secrets, their internal belief, their external beliefs, and all the objections that they possibly could have are already broken, and they're ready to be pitched. So for example, when you're going, and then another aspect of the webinar, so when you're going through each of these internal beliefs, the external beliefs, and the vehicle, they all follow the same framework, right? So you're going to talk about, so within the vehicle, within the internal belief, external belief, it's all 15 minutes each. And within each of those secrets, you're going to break down how you learned it, how you're able to earn it, the struggles, your story of how you're able to learn that part of that secret. And then you're going to break down the 3 steps, and you're not teaching people the what, you're teaching people the how. You're going to give them very generic, not very generic, but very overview type of information, to the point where they understand how to do it, but they don't know how to do it for real. And then every time you give those 3 steps, you tie it back in with proof, right? So I'm gonna give you guys an example. And then also within the offer stack, so when it comes time to give the offer stack, you're going to ask for permission. One of the biggest things you can do is ask for permission right before you start selling. And that's the easy way to transition. So like, imagine I'm going through my webinar. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I give you guys the 3 secrets, and then you're left confused. I literally tell all my clients, I'm like, okay, ask them, say it bar for bar like this. Me and my team put together something special, and I want to be able to share it with you guys, and it will help you get to that next level and implement everything that you learned today. Can I give it to you guys? Can I share this with you guys? And you wait for them to reply yes. They're literally going to be like, oh yeah, show me what it is. At that point, you're ready to be pitched. And it's like, boom, what me and my team put together, it's called the XYZ package, whatever program that you want to call it. But right, asking for permission at the pitch is going to allow people to be like, okay, I'm ready for this offer. It's them psychologically being like, okay, pitch to me. That's literally what they're saying when they say yes. I want to hear what you have to offer. And then you hit them with a 20-minute Q&A. And the point of the Q&A is to just answer those final objections where people are like, how long will this work for me? And how long will how long will it take me to get results? Or will this work for me if I'm in XYZ? Or will this work for me if I don't have a brand? Or like, you're answering all the questions, and then you're tying it back into your program, where it's like, hey, what if I don't have a brand? Well, inside my program, I'll show you how to get your brand set up. What if will this work for me? Well, I had my clients who started within 1 week, and they were able to get results. And all in my program, I teach you how to get those results ASAP. Sign up here. So that's how the Q&A is ran. That's how the vehicle is ran. That's how the internal belief is said. That's how the basis of the webinar is ran. Now I'm going to give you guys an example webinar of, I'm just going to run it live with you guys, and you'll be able to see how this all plays into it, right? So for example, if I were to do a webinar, my name is Brian, and last year so I'm doing the intro right now. And my name is Brian. In the last year, I struggled to get here. I went through a bunch of different businesses, flopped with a bunch of creators. And then I finally had my success when I realized I can be a coach. And Then I finally had my success, and I realized I could be a coach that helps other people be able to make other coaches be able to earn online. And since then, I've been able to help coaches make over $250,000, and I'm currently helping others as we speak. So that was my little intro. That's a little quick version of the intro of who I am and what I do and what I've been able to do within the last year, right? So in this webinar, I'm going to teach you guys how you can start making money as an online coach and create impact in the lives of people, even as a beginner. That's the vehicle. I'm telling you guys that coaching online is the move, and I'm going to convince you within the 3 secrets, right? So then I'm going to break down my story on how I learned it and earned it, how I figured out that you can make money as an online coach and create impact in the lives of people. Well, I spent a year trying to figure this out. I lost a lot of time, lost a lot of money, and actually had some clients that flopped. And in that time, over that year, I just spent that time honing on my craft, figuring out what works and how I could really make money while creating an impact. And one key thing as you're going through the webinar, the story is like 80% of the webinar. Once people buy into your story, they see that their story, they see themselves in your story, you already got them. So you just got to make sure you focus on telling that story in a way where it's captivating, where you're able to really express all of the pain, all of the investments, all of the struggles that you did to be able to get to where you're at now. So, and when I just told you my story, I spent a year trying to figure this out, lost a lot of time, money, actually, and I had a bunch of clients that flopped. I'm being real transparent with you guys. I had clients that flopped, and in that time, I didn't take on any more clients. I just spent it on honing my craft, figuring out what works before I could take on more people. And then when I did take on more people, that's when I started being able to help clients make money and creating impact in their lives. So now I'm going to give you guys the 3 steps on how to achieve that exact transformation and how you can start making money as an online coach and create impact, right? So the 3 steps is find out who you serve and find out who you serve best. So step number 1. Step number 2, figure out the clear transformation that you're going to be providing for your people, for your clients, for your students. And then step number 3, structure your 3-step framework to get people results. That way it's very streamlined, very easy to follow, and people could actually start getting results. Now, you're probably like, okay, this probably works. This is all theoretical. This doesn't really happen. Well, here's the proof. I was able to coach and help Barbie make over $150,000. Now you're probably like, okay, now I see how this works. The next proof, I was able to help Kim make over $30,000 with the same exact setup. And this is all from secret number 1. You could literally start making money as an online coach and create impact in these people's lives. Now I just broke down the vehicle. I showed you how I learned it and how I earned it, how I was able to figure it out. 3 steps to actually achieving this secret, and then the proof that this secret actually works. And then we go down to the internal belief. Now, a lot of people think they need a crazy amount of experience to be a coach. No, you didn't. When I first started out, I didn't have any experience. I was still new into this, and I figured it out as I went on. And then you break down the 3 steps, you show the proof, and so on and so forth. Then you go on to the external belief. But a lot of people think they need to run ads to get clients. Well, no, you don't, because I did not run ads in my first year, and I figured out how to do exactly that. And here are the 3 steps to do that. Boom, boom, boom. And then I show you proof of that it works. So that is how you run the webinar at an overview of everything. Now it comes to the post-webinar sequence, right? So when the webinar is ran, we run the webinar Thursday night. We send out the replay Friday morning. Friday afternoon, you send out the Q&A email. So we break it into the two segments, the secrets and then the offer pitch. And then we send out the Q&A in a separate email. So the first part of the email is that attacks people's like emotional sense of being, right? It gets people hyped. They're like, okay, this just happened. I need to get in. I need to secure my spot now. I'm already sold. And then we send out the Q&A to attack the logic part of people, right? So a lot of people, they need like that extra oomph, the extra, oh, like, does this really help me? How does this help me? They need those questions answered before they actually take action. And then we send out the replay, send out the Q&A, and then Saturday morning, we send out the 48-hour urgency email just to be like, hey, this offer is going down in 48 hours. And mind you, the offer needs to go down. People need to see that the offer goes down. Otherwise, they'll be like, you're not really for real. So soon as that Sunday afternoon hits, that 1 hour is gone, we take down the webinar, we remove everything. And if someone even tries to go to the offer after the webinar is ran, it's going to be like 404, no page found. And they're like, dang, I really missed out. And then that's how you get them to take action on the next webinar. So we send out the 48-hour urgency email. The next Sunday morning, we send out everything inside email. So we send them the replay, the Q&A, and the checkout link. So they have that email to where it's like, You just take action now. You have everything that you need inside. And then we have the 4 hours left email. So that's just like extra urgency, getting them to take action in that moment. And then we have the 1 hour left email. And then that's the email sequence. And then as far as what the webinar replay pages look like, we have separate pages. So here's a live example. This is the webinar, and that's literally the first half of the webinar. We have the header, even as a beginner, turn on the sound, and then we have the replay package ending in X amount of days. Remember, the webinar goes live Thursday night and the offer goes down Sunday night. And then people are able to secure the spot. Here tells you a little bit about what the offer is inside. So you watch the webinar and then you get reminded of what's exactly inside the offer. And then you see testimonials that the offer is working. So it's just extra information to be like, okay, I really can take action. So that's the replay page. And then we have the Q&A page. So from the Q&A page, that's where you spend like 20, 30 minutes of just answering live questions. So we have the questions here, and the questions that are here, we make them from the previous webinar. So we take everybody's questions that they're asking in chat, and then we keep adding it into the webinar. So as she goes through the questions that are they're already thinking, she answers it before they can even ask questions. So by the end of this webinar, it's like, bro, you already answered all my questions. I'm ready to take action. The link is in the chat, or you can go to the link that's on the screen. And then we also pair it with a timer, so people have 20 minutes to take action before the offer is gone and the webinar is ended. So like people seeing that timer, it does something to them. It makes them be like, yo, I need to take action now. I need to do this now. Otherwise I'll miss out on the offer. And that's just the environment that we created. And you'll see like within the live webinar, you'll see people be like, I secured my spot. And every time someone says that they secure their spot, now you have 5 other people trying to jump at the offer, trying to make sure they lock in their spot and get it before it actually is gone. So people are able to watch this Q&A part, and if there's spots left, then they're able to lock in. And then when they watch this Q&A, they're like, I need a little bit reminder. I want to watch the replay. They're able to go back to this. They click that button, and they're able to go back to the replay page. And that's literally the whole essence of the webinar sequence that we run post webinar, and we get people to convert that way. And you'll see a couple more sales come in. As the thing is, if the webinar is able to convert live, when you send out emails and SMS and all of those stuff that follow along with the webinar, you're able to get more sales trickling in through the weekend. So let's say it's a $20,000 launch, you'll get like maybe $15,000 upfront on the webinar live, and then that extra $5,000 will be from these emails and just sending out the sequence and be like, hey, this offer is going down. Now you have the full overview of how the webinar works, from offer clarity, market research, to the tools that you need to start running this webinar, to the webinar funnel that's converting at 45%, the automation is needed to run the webinar, and indoctrination emails, and then how to run the webinar broken down step by step, the 3 secrets, teaching the how, not the what. And then you have the post webinar sequence where it just shows you what it looks like, how to run it after the webinar is ran live. So now you have literally everything you need, the step-by-step tools, funnels, and everything you need to start running this webinar on your own. Now I added in a bonus section just to help you understand the stats of how this all works, right? So if you have a bunch of people that sign up, but the show up rate isn't good, right? You fix the show up rates by adding more touch points. So that's more SMS, more emails, more indoctrination emails, getting people to see like, hey, you should show up live because I could actually change your life on this webinar. And then adding more proof on the landing page. That way they're already indoctrinated to see that this can actually work for me. And then if you get people to show up, but when it's time to pitch, the room dips, there's no one in the room, they're like, this is not for me, like I'm out of here. The 9 times out of 10, they just don't believe in your story. And you need to fix the 3 secrets in the storytelling, so that way when you talk about the vehicle, or you hit on the internal and external beliefs, you're telling your story, you're showing the proof, people actually could see that it's possible for them. So if by the time you get to the pitch and the room is like halfway gone, that's what you need to fix up. And then if people are on the offer stack, but by the time you get to the Q&A, they dip, that means they just didn't like the offer. The offer just wasn't sweet enough. So you have to tweak the offer to better be able to solve their problems. And then if people don't take action at the Q&A, they're at the Q&A, they stayed the whole time, you held them hostage, they still don't believe that you can help them. They're still on the fence, and you have to hone in on breaking down any type of objections that they're thinking of in each of your webinars. So those are the things that you can fix based off the current stages your webinar is in and what to improve. So that way, as you run the webinars, you'll see like where you need to improve, what points you need to touch on, and how you can get better over time. You have everything that you need to start running webinars on your own. I give you the literal step-by-step funnel and tools that I use within my own clients to help them make money with these webinars and run these webinars for them. So now you'll be able to make money on your own and start running it up in just these 1 hour live calls. And it's really that simple. It's a simple funnel, and you can get better over and over and over. And there's literally no limit to improving and scaling this up. And then even let's say you run it with your regular audience, and it's like, this is making you money. Now you want to take it up a notch. You can always add ads to the system and scale it up that way. So there's a bunch of ways. The making money with webinars is literally endless. And now you have the tools to be able to do so. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and you want to see a more personalized version of how it can actually work for a specific creator, I actually have a video where I break down Barbie's exact webinar funnel and the slides that she used, the exact story that she was able to implement, literally the whole 9 yards for her own webinar. And I'm gonna link it up here for you guys to be able to watch it. And if you enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or just comment below on what other videos you want to see from me going forward, what other things you want me to break down, or if you've just been running webinars yourself and how that's been going for you. Just let me know down in the comments, and I'll make sure to comment back, and we can have a real chat inside the comments. And I see you guys in the next one. Peace.